guys, Joe here, the man who still doesn't have a mount in Diablo 4, and I'm here to talk about UFC on ABC 5. Was it 5? Yeah, it was 5. Topuria versus Emmett, and that was a wild, wild fight and a crazy performance for one of them. So, enough talk. Let's just get to the fights. So the main event of the card was a featherweight clash between the guy who just fought for an interim title and Josh Emmett against the hot up-and-coming prospect of Ilia Topuria. And at the jump, we see the fights on the feet at first for at least a majority of the fight. The fight was on the feet. With Emmett looking for combinations while Topuria's kind of, really good defense, kind of just looking for an opening. And then they start exchanging more and more. Topuria's letting it loose. And it just seems like the momentum, because Emmett's coming out of the gate being aggressive, looking for the combinations, and then kind of backing off, kind of hit and move kind of style. Whereas Topuria's just kind of stalking him. The momentum just kind of really moving towards Topuria. He's starting to kind of figure his timing out, figure out what he wants to do. So he starts adding in low kicks near the end of the round. And I think this is the closest round of all of them. And I still think Zaporia. So, spoilers. Second round, and we're starting to see the clean power striking. Topuria has very good hook combinations, and he's just kind of landing much, much, much better and much cleaner than Emmett is. He has his right hand was just money the whole fight, I felt like. And he does actually sting and then later drop Josh Emmett in the second round. He couldn't get the finish. He kind of knocks him to a knee later on, but Emmett survives. Topuria is looking insane. He's just looking nuts out there. Third round, and I thought when I was watching this, I thought the writing was on the wall, I was like, okay, he's probably going to finish him pretty soon. Topuria, crazy power, crazy finisher. And I got to give credit to Josh Emmett. He survives this round. Despite both dudes trading shots and getting tagged, it was mostly Topuria tagging Emmett, really laying it on him, really laying it on thick. And Emmett's just kind of taking him. He's having a hard time landing because at this point, the Topuria jab is just taking over. Great. I don't remember him really having a jab like this in prior fights. I remember him mostly just being a really good kind of almost Tyson-esque, not saying exactly like it, but good head movement and then big counter hooks that he would then flurry into while stalking his opponents. I don't remember him ever having a crazy jab. I could be wrong because I feel like it's been a minute since I've seen him fight, but hey, it looked really good. His jab was nuts. Fourth round, and this is the wild one. So the jabs are adding up. The low kicks have just been money the whole fight. And these punches are landing more and more. And at this point, if it hits the mat, he goes down hard. And Topuria goes for the finish. Emmett gets back up real quick. And he's just getting swarmed on, getting hurt. Goes down again. This time Topuria gets full mount, just dropping bombs, And, man, Emmett takes it. He gives up his back near the end, but he does survive the round. It was such a one-sided round. I'm going to be honest. I felt like it was a 10-7. It reminded me of those Calvin Kattar, Max Holloway rounds, or funny enough, worse than the Giga Chikadze Calvin Kattar matches a year later. It was kind of wild. Final round, though, Emmett's trying to make things happen. He just got dominated. He's been getting whooped on the whole fight. Trying to make things happen. You got to admire that kind of tenacity and heart. And he's going in, trying to make things going. But the defense and footwork of Topuria just too much. And Topuria does, shoot a takedown on him and gets good control, trying to move position. Some good scrambles, actually, at one point in there. But he's landing punches when he can, just looking to kind of maintain control. And he wins by unanimous decision, asks for a title shot, and I think Dana White didn't give him a Contender Series contract. I don't know why. I had to make that joke. It reminded me of Dana White. I actually don't know what Dana White said. I don't know what his opinion on this performance was. But it reminded me of when Brendan Lonane, or I always butcher his last name. He's awesome. He's in PFL. I think he won the $1 million tournament for them, I think in Featherweight, if I remember correctly, for them last year. And he was on the Contender Series, crazy fight. wild back and forth brawl with Bill Algeo, and then last 10 seconds of the third round, he goes for a double leg to kind of just secure the fight. And Dana White was like, "You don't do that ever." Because obviously he knows what it's like to be in a fight like that. He totally understands and has just, such great knowledge. Like he's such a. Ugh, just feel the blood temperature rising, blood pressure's going wild. Anyways, though, just an incredible, amazing performance from Topuria, a guy I've been really high on, so I feel really validated here. And honestly, I think you give him Max or the winner of Volk and Yair Rodriguez, which is coming up pretty soon. And I think those fights sound wild, ridiculous, and awesome. Topuria is just this machine of power, skill. He's pretty quick, and he's just getting better and better. And he has great heart, too. If you haven't seen that Jai Herbert fight, my debut card I recapped when I first joined the show, have to plug that. But in the Jai Herbert fight, he took a huge head kick, and I think he got dropped again later on in that round. And he survived, and then won in the next round. It was wild. Took some big shots. So the dude's tough. The dude's got a lot of skills. Very talented guy, and it's kind of awesome seeing this prospect really turn out the way it did. I bet Patty Pimblett watched that fight and went, "Oh my God, I am so glad I ducked him." I have to toss that out there. But then for the co-main event, we have two fighters I actually like. We have Amanda Ribas and Maycee Barber. Yeah, I'm a Maycee Barber fan. Why? I gotta be honest, I have no idea. Zero clue. So first round, good mixing of all the martial arts, some kicks, punches, one really good elbow in the clinch from Barber, and a knee in there. And then we saw some grappling as well, which I thought was the Hebos specialty. I kind of was expecting the fight to be a Maycee Barber decision, with Hebos having the most success on the ground, but having trouble getting it there. And because I feel like Maycee's probably just a little stronger, tougher on the feet, a little more varied in her attack, I would say as well. And excuse me. But so once they got to the ground, though, Maycee did get top position and used her strength to just land some bombs from ground and pound and almost closed out with a finish at the end of round one. But Hebos survives, goes to round two. Second round, they trade some shots on the feet, and Hebos seems like she might have, at least she landed clean, at least on Barber. She goes in for the finish, and she gets cracked right back, hits the mat. Or no, she doesn't hit the mat. I'm thinking of the Emmett fight again. I apologize. But she gets cracked. Goes for that desperation takedown. Maycee Barber reverses her, gets to opposition, and just drops more bombs on her. Huge flurry. And that's the finish. A really good performance. And the improvements to Maycee Barber's game has been very, very good. But she keeps calling out my girl, Alexa Grasso, though. And I'm just going to say this. She don't want that smoke. She don't want that smoke in that rematch. I think her call-outs are cringy, if I'm being honest. She kind of comes across like Juliana Pena. I feel like Juliana Pena and her, they both come across like really entitled, like entitled teenagers in a sense. Like I feel like there's a lack of maturity in their call-outs, at least in their, I'll say this, media personalities that they present. I feel like they kind of come across a little cringy and a little immature-ish. Like, I'm the greatest ever, and like Amanda Nunes is retiring. That was really awful. And then Maycee Barber constantly saying, like, I was going to win that fight if we had more rounds. Okay, sure. But I still feel like this isn't enough to get her a title shot at all. I think she's moving up, though. She's improved very much, but I still think these call-outs are really cringy and awkward. Man, how am I a Maycee Barber fan saying that out loud? But for the rest of the card, we had Austin Lane and Justin Taffa had this really nasty eye poke with blood leaking out of Justin Taffa's eye. It was gross, kind of awesome, but mostly gross and 100% disappointing. And because it really just sucks seeing a fight in that way, and it sucks even more for the fighters, I'll say. So my heart goes out to them. It's always rough. Like, you get drained up, you get amped up, and then a fight ends like that. It was incidental too, so even worse. Fix these gloves. David Onama got this nasty KO over Gabriel Santos, and then he copied like Izzy's shooting a bow celebration that he had with Alex Bejeda a while back, or a couple months ago. And that feels cringy to me. Nothing against the initial celebration. I'm cool with it. I wanted Pereira to win. I don't like Izzy, but I'm, you know, hey man, I'm cool with it. I totally get it in that moment. You know, it'd be hypocritical of me to criticize celebrating when I pumped when my fighters celebrate wins. But I feel like copying celebrations verbatim is just weird. I hate it in other sports when people try to copy like Michael Jordan stuff in basketball. I hate it in that, and I don't like it here as well. But oh well. Hey man, you're pumped up. Maybe it was the first thing that came to mind when you got pumped. I totally get it. Brendan Allen got a big drop and then a big rear naked choke win over Bruno Silva, then called out Izzy. I feel like he's doing it a little early, but middleweight needs new blood, so sure, why not? Neil Magny I thought he cleanly and clearly beat Phil Rowe by decision, but one judge, wanted to kind of threaten his insane record in the octagon. Judges keep judging. That's what they do. And they scored it for Phil Rowe. Sure. I don't know personally. Maybe you guys disagree with that. Maybe some of y'all thought you could see Phil Rowe winning. I thought Neil Magny won pretty clean to me. And finally, Randy Brown bounced back after a loss to Jack Della Maddalena earlier in the year with a decision win over Wellington Turman. Finally, I'm going to make this real quick because, I don't want to make this video too long, but I feel the need to comment on the news of this potential battle of the billionaires that's going on with Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, and Dana White showing interest in it somehow. So what do I think about this? I think it's really stupid. I think it's really, really, really stupid. It's probably the second stupidest thing I've heard regarding MMA in a long time. I think the first one was letting Francis go. But that's probably the stupidest thing I've ever heard in at least a long time. It's pretty up there. I feel like this is a weird UFC way of getting around fighter pay. Why pay fighters decent wages when we have billionaires who don't care what we pay them because they're already mega rich? I don't know. It's ridiculous, and I hope we don't give it too much attention because I feel like if they actually promote this, they're not promoting fighters that they could promote. That's the job of a promotion, to promote fighters, and the UFC doesn't do that. It's awful. It's terrible. God, it's just terrible. But if it does happen, don't want it to happen. If it does happen, though, I think we got to keep tradition. I think we need to keep tradition here. If we do a battle of the billionaires, Stone Cold has to shave the loser. Anyways, that's it. That's it for me, people. Thank you once again for the continued support on the channel. And if you are interested in maybe joining the INC team, working on editing the retro review series, specifically, of course, then hit us up on Twitter. We're looking for a new editor for the retro review series. We'd be happy to have you if you think you got what it takes. And I'll be back next week, of course, to cover the Sean Strickland main event and probably rant about the quality of UFC cards right before they get really good again. I'm Joe with the INC. Thank you for watching.